Hi, Coach. How are you?
Nice. Shiny face to start off a good Monday. Thanks for coming back.
Well, Ben is in Hawaii, so.
How did you lose that? Did you guys draw straws?
No, I did not have a choice in this.
Aloha, Ben.
So what were your impressions when you watched the tape back from Saturday's game?
I mean, well, first off, you got to give them credit. I thought their quarterback and 4 receivers were as good as we faced this year. And give them credit for what they did. I think everybody always wants to know what's wrong sometimes when it's put against a really good offensive football team there. So, and then I think something that mounted against us is some of those injuries that happened during the game defensively, so we were kind of limited with some of the calls we could make. Chris Barnes, if you look at the first half Chris had played, I thought he played an outstanding football game. But, and as I said on what I meant on Saturday when I said what our defensive coaches were doing is that a lot of the calls depended on Chris, and Chris wasn't in. So the game plan changes for us defensively. So, but, I thought our guys showed resiliency, which they've showed all year long. They're going to fight and they're going to play. And, they scored and then we answered and then we tried to get within 10. And trying to get that last one in there and couldn't convert on 4th down. I got to call a better play as a coach on that situation. But, I like the way our guys competed. I like the way our guys fought. But we didn't have enough answers for them offensively.
How is Chris?
Chris will see what he can do today. We'll go through, I think, everybody that got banged up on Saturday is going to try to give it a go. Obviously, it's our last game is this Saturday playing against Cal. So I think it will take a lot to keep Chris off the field. So he's going to see what he can do today, and we'll see how he progresses during the week. So.
How do you defend against a team like SC that has 4 guys, wide receivers with that type of talent?
I mean, it was a difficult task, and we didn't do a good enough job. We didn't put our guys in good enough situations. Again, as I've always talked about, whenever you're playing teams like this, you got to generate a pass rush, and then the question is, can you generate it with 3 or 4 and play coverage because you can cover with 7 and 8, or do you have to devote more to the rush? The more you devote to the rush, the less you have in coverage. So it's that kind of catch-22 of what you can do. And I think in the course of the game, you got to do both. There's times where you got to bring more than they can handle, but then you got to hold on to coverage because you're playing 0 man behind it. And there's other times where you're going to rush less and drop more into coverage, and then try to keep the quarterback off balance a little bit. But again, give credit to Keaton. I thought he played an outstanding game. It's the first time I'd seen him in person, and I was really impressed with him.
I saw Lokini, Toiloa, and Kenny Churchwell kind of limping off the
same
field.
Thing.
How are they doing?
We'll see. They're going to all try to go this week. But we won't have a better, healthy feeling. We don't practice on Sundays. That's their day off during the week. They came into the training room and all that, and today will be the first day out in the field. I wouldn't expect they do a whole heck of a lot today, but we'll see as the week progresses. Those would be the 3 guys that we're concerned with on the defensive side of the ball: Chris, Loke, and Kenny.
Is Calvert, is he available?
Bo Calvert will play this week.
He will play.
When you lose Chris in a game, how does that kind of throw a wrench into just the system of the defense?
Well, Chris is our signal caller on the defensive side of the ball. It's kind of like when your quarterback goes down, So, and then a lot of the things that we do are driven by the guy who plays that position. So, can he cover number 3 running vertical down the field? Or is he more of an in-the-box guy? And then we got to change coverages because we can't leave a guy isolated with in one-on-one things that Chris can do. You're trying to play to Chris's strengths, and Chris's strengths are, obviously a really talented player. So your play calling thought process changes when you lose someone like that in that situation. That's what I was alluding to on Saturday.
Did Calvert redshirt last year?
I don't think so. No.
So could you use this year as a redshirt?
Yeah, because he'd only be available for one game. Yes.
You faced 2 really good offenses in a row, and they generate a lot of points on you. But what do you hope that your young defense can learn from facing offenses as skilled as this?
That's a good question, and I think from every experience we talk about the learning experience from it. So what do you get out of in the film session that they just went through? What did we get out of it, and what did we learn from it, and how could we? What's the solution for the situation? What can we do a little bit better? What can we do as coaches better? In terms of the scheme and what we're doing, and then what can they do from a technique standpoint. The one thing about this group that you never fault is their effort. They always play with great effort, which you love as a coaching staff, and that's why we love this team, because no matter what the situation is, they always come back and play hard. But every experience, whether you win or lose on Saturday, you got to kind of go into Monday with an open mind when you're watching film of, really, what did I do good, and how do we continue to build upon that, and then what can we learn from, and then how do we get better, and that's what this process is about.
What answer did the coaching staff come up with in terms of what they can do better from that game?
Again, I think it's part of the trying to keep the quarterback off base, and can we change? How do we affect him in the pocket? From a rush standpoint, I think you got to get a little bit more pressure on him as you play him. You understand if he has time to sit back there, he's such an accurate passer, a decisive passer that he's probably going to find an open receiver. And the less people you rush, the more time he has to throw the ball. So, can you disrupt the timing of when he has an opportunity to get rid of the football? And I think that's what you kind of learn playing against him.
What's the message for the team heading into this last week? Just one last.
Yeah, our message for the team this week is the same thing I told them immediately after the game: is that we have a small group of seniors. We're obviously an extremely young football team, but we owe it to them to send those guys out the right way. In the best way we can honor Chris Barnes and Loke and Josh Woods and KLS and Boss and Josh and JDB and Wade and JJ and that whole group. And there's a few guys that are banged up that still can't play, the Javari Andersons and Tyree Thompson's. The best way we can honor those guys is to go out and have a great week of practice and go play cat. And the best thing we can do is go out and try to win a football game this week to honor those guys the right way, because they've been outstanding for the 2 years we've been here, and they've been, the kind of guys you can count on every single day. You talk about how we practice and what we're trying to get accomplished, but you can talk, the first guys you talk about are how Chris Barnes practices, how Luke Kenny practices, what tone do those guys set. Obviously all those other guys I mentioned, Josh, KLS, Josh Kelly, Boss on the offensive side of the ball, Ethan Famea, guys that epitomize what we're looking to get accomplished here. And I think they've taught a lot of valuable lessons to our young kids. And so out of respect for those guys, we're going to approach the game the way those guys approach the game. And we're going out and trying to see if we get our fifth win and send these guys off on a good note.
Everyone good?
Dorian had his second best game in terms of passing numbers. Kyle Phillips and Devin had pretty big games. Was it part of the plan going in against USC to attack them through the air?
No, we probably wanted to be a little bit more balanced, but as I said after the game, I think we got away from the run a little bit just because we got behind, so we threw the ball a little bit more. But give Devin and Glory and Kyle credit for stepping up. I thought Chase Cota played really well too. He had a couple key catches in there. Jordan Wilson had a couple key catches in there. So Felt had a couple in there. So Dorian did a really good job of distributing the ball to those guys, and that's it's just you're seeing all those guys grow. It's Devin's really first year playing, and you've seen him grow as the season's gone along. Obviously, Kyle, we redshirted him last year, so as a redshirt freshman, looking at the numbers he's putting up are really impressive. And then Dorian really getting his extensive acumen in his second year is, I thought it was his best game since he's been a Bruin. But that's the great thing about Dorian. He gets better every single week, so the more reps and the more opportunities he gets, he learns. And if for some reason he made a mistake at some point in time, he very rarely, and that's what makes him such a special player, does he make the same mistake twice. I think he learns from it and kind of continues to grow. But I thought, you look at kind of what he did. He threw for nearly 400 and ran for almost 100. I think it's kind of a credit to him and watching him grow as the season goes along. So it's comforting to know that if we are behind and we got to turn into more of a throw game, that you have some guys you can count on from that standpoint, because we still feel very, very confident always with Josh Kelly back there and what we have on the offensive line and the ability to run the ball. But I think it's a real good compliment for us. I think right now in called plays and everything involved, we've had 826 snaps. We have 413 passes, 413 runs. We're exactly 50% right now. So there's not one of our side that we lean more to. And I think as the game expresses itself, you don't know what you're doing. If you're winning, then you got to run the ball more. If you're behind, you got to throw the ball more. But the ability to do both on the offensive side of the ball and have the ability to do both is a real positive. So.
Thank you, guys.
All right. Thanks, guys.